All right, cool. And we're rolling. Diego Casillas. What's up, brother?
What up, man? What up?
How's it going?
Good. Just another day enjoying life, man.
I saw you went out to the zoo this week with your baby, with your wife. How's that going?
It was great. My son he's 2 years old now, so now he's more like active and stuff.
The best hair like in the Central Valley.
You seen that?
Man.
I love his hair.
My
wife wants to cut it. I told her.
No, so it's you that's keeping it long.
Yeah. I told her we're gonna leave it. I had it long when I was a little baby too.
Oh, really?
I had it like long, and then I had it curly too, and they cut it. No more like. No more.
Well, now you look. I mean, we just took a photo out there. You look like a model. It's like, come on.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that to my son. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer.
No? How long?
Maybe one more year.
One more year.
It's
what was his favorite part of the zoo?
The dinosaurs. You know how they have that new little dinosaur thing? You wanted to go to dinosaurs, and because I mean, they're not. You could touch them. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, because they're not moving and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
do they have the safari thing still going right now, or no?
No, they have. There's a couple of things that are closed because of like the COVID, but they're also like remodeling in there, like a whole area, and it's kind of bad because you pay to go see certain animals too, and they don't have a lot of them out.
Oh, really? You can't see a lot right now.
Yeah. So,
it's still super cool though for kids. Like when they get, I remember going to the zoo and it's like. You see the tiger, like something crazy like that. You're like,
I was talking to my brother-in-law. We're talking about because, like, we looked at the animals. There was the lions right there. They're just chilling, laying down. We're like, man, these guys have no purpose of. They just are enjoying life. They're
just
like,
no worries in the world.
Like,
they just look like they're chilling.
Yeah, but I mean, it was fun. It was fun. You know, my son enjoyed it, and that's the best thing. You know. Like,
yeah. So you're from Visalia area, right? You guys still live out there?
Yeah, we still live out there in Tulare.
But
okay. Yeah, I've been there for like 4 to 5 years, like living around the area. Because I moved out a lot, you know. Kind of was in Watsonville, Porterville, Pixley, Bakersfield. Oh my God, Taft. I've been everywhere.
Why?
Yeah. Just when we got here from Mexico, because you know I came from Mexico. I was born in Mexico. We came, my family came over, and then they landed in Watsonville.
Okay.
So we moved there, and then she was moving a lot, my mom with us, because of work. She had to, you know, look for different jobs and stuff like that. So we would kind of follow, you know, certain, like, you know,
wherever
like
the work's at.
Stuff like that.
So she was an ag worker?
Yeah, that's all she did. And we ended up over here towards Bakersfield when I was a teenager, like around 13, and then a year after we went back to Watsonville. You know, we're there for another 2 years, and then my freshman year in high school moved to Visalia. Ended up going to school in Visalia for half a year, and then to Porterville, and it was just.
How'd you make that? I mean, you were playing soccer this whole time, or what? What was that like?
Well, so I got into like playing over there in Watsonville. I was like 9 years old, around 9. I was playing, and then. After that, when we moved over here, you know, I still played it, but not much because, you know, you can't adjust like within, you know, because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to move again. So you're like, So I was like playing like in school, like just like.
For fun and stuff like that, yeah. No club or anything?
No club there. I played club till when I went back to Watsonville. I played it was an academy, Santa Cruz Breakers Academy.
Okay.
I played with them, but you know it cost a lot of money and stuff like that. I was lucky enough that you know one of my good friends told his parents, hey, you know, like pay for him to play or whatever, and then they wanted him to like keep playing. He said, I won't play if you guys don't pay for him to play, you know, in the team. So I was lucky, you know, for that. And
it's wild because like we've had a few different folks on the podcast lately. And we had Anthony Velarde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we had Nini Blanco. And it's crazy because there's a lot of people that like they have similar stories where it's like a friend of the family or somebody in the community that just like helps, and they're willing to pay and they're willing to help because a lot of times like a lot of kids growing up in your scenario like they don't have the means to play club soccer, so that's really cool to hear that like so many people have that type of experience.
Yeah, I honestly think if it wasn't probably for him to, you know, paying his parents paying for me to play there, it would have probably, I was doing bad, you know, I was a bad little kid, you know, growing up, you know, just with the my mom, we didn't have our dad around, So it was kind of like, you only have your mom, but she's always at work. So you're like, So I was doing like bad stuff, and I was a bad kid every time. So I think that kind of, got me out of it. Still, when we moved over here, I was still playing soccer and stuff, but I was still kind of doing, little things, little gangster or whatever.
Right.
Moved back, and then when I finally moved back when we moved back to Watsonville from Visalia, then I went back over here to Porterville. I was like, that's it. I gotta, straighten myself. Just try not to hang out with those bad kids. So I ended up.
So did you go to Monache, Porterville?
Yeah. So my freshman year, the ending of my freshman year, I went to El Diamante.
Okay.
And then once I was done there, I didn't even play soccer for them. The coach. It was funny because where I lived at, the coach's brother was our neighbor's good friend, and he saw me kicking the ball in the backyard, and he's like, "Hey, you know
what you're doing?
Yeah, you play for any high school?" And I was like, "No, what high school you go to?" And I told him El Diamante, and he goes like, "My brother's a head coach. Like, you want to play for him?" I didn't do it because I just felt like it wasn't like my school, because I came from Watsonville, like playing over there freshman year, and I was like, no, we'll see. So I didn't play like the ending of my freshman year.
Wow.
Then I ended up moving to Monache, and that's where it all started. I just, like sophomore, junior, and senior, that's where, I played.
And so did you, when you were in Porterville, were you playing club soccer too? Or?
Yeah, I was right there. I was playing club with like our high school coach was also a club coach. I was playing there, and I would go. There's Wes Johnson, right? Wes Johnson, he would ask me to go play some tournaments with them with I think it was South Valley or something like that.
Okay.
So I would go play some tournaments over there with them when they would go up here up north and stuff. So that's all I did, just play, and try to stay active because.
And then what? Well, I mean, so you finished high school, you're playing club, and then what? What? I mean, like, walk us through that.
Well, after that, I ended up my senior year. I didn't know, honestly. So I graduated from high school with like not the best grades because I like I said, when you're
moving around all over the place.
Yeah, when you come, your mom's never home or whatever. You're trying to figure out, as you go, kind of on your own, like. So I was just trying to get grades to graduate to pass. Then when my senior year, I went to Cal State Bakersfield to some like open like trial combine thing they had. Someone paid for it for me to go to because you had to pay for it. So I was like, all right, why not? So I went, and the head coach like loved the way I played, and he's all like, hey, let's get your info, this and that. And like funny thing is that I had it was on a Saturday, and I had a final in Porterville like late in the afternoon, and the combine I remember wasn't over like to probably 3, and I told coach, hey, I can't keep playing the games because I got a final. I got to take off with my club.
So you've been training all morning.
Yes, and then
trying out, and then getting to play club final.
I took off to the final. But,
that's smart.
I mean, we won it, We won the final. Yeah. So, I mean, that's I was there. He reached out to me after and stuff, and then he wanted to know if I would be interested in going, and I was like, yeah, I was excited. I didn't know what the heck. Then he tells me, yeah, so we're going to need your transcripts and stuff. And I go like, cool, interesting. So then I start asking around. And then when he called me, he's like, how come you haven't got back to us? I tell him, man, honestly, I don't want to waste your time anymore. I didn't even know what that was. So I don't have my, transfer units to go to university right after high school, this and that. So I ended up going to Taft College for 2 years. Yeah. It was great. I loved it out there. Great soccer program and stuff. But I'm sure, you've heard of Fresno City.
Oh, of course.
I didn't know about Fresno City when I was here at Monache or nothing. Like,
no?
I didn't know much about this area, like, because I kind of stayed over there, and like Tulare, all the area that way. But the way I ended up here in Fresno and connected with Fresno was because Anthony Torres. He's the one that got me connected. Yeah, he got me connected to I forgot the coach that was there that year to Fresno Fuego's year.
Probably Scott Alcorn. Maybe?
No, after him.
Sean Lanigan.
Sean, yeah, him. And then Sean he introduced me to him. He's like, hey, I got this guy, Oh, now we're full, we're good. And then Anthony's like, just invite him to a friendly that we're gonna have against some Sunday League team. And he invited me, and then he was like, and then Brian's
Waschka.
He was assistant that year, and he was like, "No, I like him.
Let's keep him.
Let's keep him." So that's how I got connected to this.
Nice little winger, pretty crafty, he could little run, fast. He could run. He runs all day. Beats guys down the side. Okay, we could see that.
Yeah. So that's it's all about like people helping out other people. So
and I mean something that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is like your college experience. You're a dreamer, right?
Yeah.
And so like how did that, I mean, was there nerves going into like, hey, I'm gonna go to college, but I don't have all my stuff correct? Like how did you make that happen?
Yeah, so once all that stuff, the dreamer stuff started coming out, and I started realizing, okay, I was considered they call it AB 540 student, where you could get some like I didn't qualify for financial aid and stuff like that because being an immigrant, but I was able to get some help from the government because of like you come and you're trying to get your education stuff. So I did all that stuff, the applications and stuff, and I had my Social Security and all that. I got it. And I had a permit to be here legally, which you have to renew. You had to renew every 2 years, stuff like that. I don't know how it is anymore, because thank God I'm a resident already, so everything's set.
What did it feel like going through that? I mean, growing up as a kid, I mean, were you super aware that like, hey, I don't have my documentation? Like, was that conversation like stuff that went through your head often? Like, what did it feel like to be in that scenario?
Yeah, a lot of times I was, I think it has to do a lot with like your parents or people you hear around talking about it, but when they say like you gotta be careful because if you see like immigration, all this stuff, like they know you don't have papers, stuff like that, and they kind of put that little like fear,
a little bit of fear,
and so you're kind of like thinking like, man, like like you kind of live not fully in panic, but you're living like man, I know I'm not like fully from here, and I could lose.
How old were you when you came?
I was 8.
You were 8 years old.
I was 8 years old.
Do you remember your time in Mexico?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was roaming around the streets, man, just trying to survive out there. It's tough. It's tough. I was always moving around, like, going to soccer fields and just watching people play and stuff like that.
And what part of Mexico are you from?
Michoacán.
Okay. Yeah. What city?
Tepalcatepec.
Oh, that's a beautiful name.
Yeah, it's really hard to say it though. My brother-in-law and them, they like to say it, and they
it's hard to do it. So that's cool. So you're able to qualify for a program, you're able to go to college, and then now you're a resident, and like what is, I mean, I think for a lot of people out there, we were talking about before, it's like there's often this this perception that you hear out in the media of like people in your situation, and there's a lot of negativity sometimes around it. And it's like for you guys, like your mom was working her ass off to try to like provide for her family and do what's best for her family, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe talk shit on it, but like if they were in a scenario where they had to do what was best for their family, they would do anything. And so there's a lot of people that are just trying to provide for their families, and it's hard. But has it given you a different perspective of like, being in America, being an American, and like what this country has to provide to people?
Yeah, a lot of times we don't, especially coming from over there, I am sure in the media, people that live over there see it, that, it's a great opportunity to be over here and stuff like that, but you also have to deal with a bunch of stuff, simply you have to, like we said, when you don't have papers, you have to work your butt off, like, if it's, in the fields, like getting paid cash or whatever they do, and it's, it's been quite a journey, for us, I was once working like that as well, like, because I didn't have papers and stuff, but like it's scary too. It's scary because you could get caught for doing that, and then you could get in trouble by the law because you have to do everything right here.
Yeah, and so you were working even as a kid.
Yeah, even
out
as
in the
a
fields?
kid, I was working and stuff, but it paid off, because you don't want to go back to doing that stuff. You think about it, you're like, man, like waking up early, being out there, you see the same thing. If you're working on the grape, you see the same thing for 8 hours, so
and the heat.
Yeah, and then the heat here gets good, it gets good.
Yeah, it's not Watsonville.
No, it's not Watsonville over there. It's although you have that you work in agriculture and bending over the strawberry over there, which it sucks too.
Yeah, you're on the ground, right?
Yeah, your back. And
how do you think that like changed you as now a man and a professional athlete? Like, do you think some of those hard work traits and like survivability type of things and just kind of keeping your head down and working hard like built who you are as an athlete now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dedication, and then having that, wanting to do something with yourself, not wanting to be there. If you're not happy, in one place, there's always something else you could do, but you got to be fully committed to it and, work your butt off and try to, make the best out of, the situation where you're at, because unfortunately, some people don't have that option, to do something else because they lack, like some, to do some stuff, and they there's people that are hard workers and they're just gonna work hard. They are not, they're not smart up here in the head. So yeah, when you get the chance to do something else, or you're good at something and you could get out of that, you gotta commit to it.
Yeah, you gotta go. So you spent a year with the Fuego, and then the next year was Fresno FC. Or did you do 2 years with the Fuego? And then the next year was Fresno FC under 23s.
Yeah.
And you were clearly a standout player. Yeah. I mean, that was an interesting year, I think, for a lot of you guys, because you went from playing for the Fuego, where it was like this extremely professional setting.
Yeah.
And like fans are cheering and it's crazy and like there's some limelight to that. And then the next year, the pro team definitely takes kind of the overwhelming majority of the light, and the under 23 team, kind of becomes more of a traditional PDL squad.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at the guys that were on that team, like yourself, Elijah Martin, Anthony Velarde. There's some ballers on that squad, but that for whatever reason, that team as a squad didn't have the same type of performance on the field that we had been used to seeing the PDL team. Like, what was up with that?
I don't know. That's interesting that you bring that up. Like, I don't know. I mean, we played against, some of the same teams, San Francisco Glens, San Francisco City. I don't know. I think it was more, like, I could say there was probably that little pressure that you wanted to stand out, individually to try to get to the first team, because you were in the U23s and you wanted to get to the professional team,
So you think maybe there's a little bit less perspective on like team collaboration?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, like you said, we had good players. We could easily be, taking that, first place in that, but
that was a fun team to watch, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we gave up some goals that year.
Yeah.
We gave up some goals that year.
Yeah.
But damn, like, Tony was on that team too, right? Wasn't he?
Tony. Yeah. What's in Johnny Rodriguez was there.
Johnny. Oh yeah, Johnny's another pro right now. That was on that team.
Yeah, Johnny, good player, man. Good player.
There's a lot of good players that have come out of like all the Fuego teams, but crazy enough, that Fresno FC under 23 team had quite a bit of people on it. So then you sign with Fresno FC the next year. You and Elijah both are the two players that are brought up off that team. And I don't remember if it was so this would have been 2019, right? 2019 you were pro. I just remember the header that you had. What team was that against?
It was the first. I had two headers.
I'm like, you're 4'11". How do we have a header?
Man, that's crazy. Because the guy, I didn't think they expected it. That's the thing. It was against Sacramento. Away at their field. We had. You know what's funny? And I still look at the video. I go back and look at the video. So when I go in, there's that fight that happened between Jaime Chavez and their defender, their center back for Sacramento.
Yeah.
And so, Adam Smith's like, all right, you're going in, whatever. So as I'm gonna go in, I see, what's going on over there, and Q comes off for me. Q's coming out, and right when I step in, I'm walking and I look and I see Jaime get a red. So now, I'm thinking like, man, I'm so lucky I came in, because if it would have been the red before I stepped in,
you probably wouldn't have gone in.
I wouldn't have gone in, because we needed a striker up there, A striker comes out. You get your striker out and your other striker gets a red. So I was like, man, thank God I'm in, And it worked out. I went in, and like 2-3 minutes after, I
quick.
run in and boom.
How did you even
Elijah,
get there?
My boy, that connection, me and Elijah.
Elijah Martin.
Boom.
Elijah Martin.
It was, it was crazy. It was I was shocked I even scored, to be honest, a header. Like, I thought I was gonna get killed. The keeper's right there, and I'm in the middle. I'm just like,
Just boom, get it. What'd that feel like to have your first professional goal?
Man, it was crazy, especially being against your rivals and away, and then for your hometown club that you could score your first goal.
Right.
I think I could have probably scored earlier if I would have had more minutes, I guess, during the season. But I mean, it just it doesn't work out like that,
Yeah. Did you feel like there's a lot of differences between the time that you spent playing in the PDL and like the game at the USL Championship level?
Yeah, it's more it's faster, for sure it's faster, more thinking. It's not, all about running, it's about, knowing where you're at in the field, being aware, and, like working, defending your ass off, when you don't have the ball, because in your movement off the ball, it's, you do, the thing is that you do train the 5 days out of the week over here. And in the PDL, it's only a short season, and you don't get all the guys. Like, some guys go, and some guys don't because they can't because of work and stuff like that. It's not as strict as, the professional environment. So I think that, that just your mind changes, because you're like a pro athlete.
What was the biggest thing that you think you learned or like improved on in that year?
I would say my crossing in 1v1 against players. Coaches and my teammates would always tell me, hey, when you're a winger, you're playing winger. Because I also played right back or left back, I think, a couple games. They said when you play winger, your crosses, that's a winger. Putting crosses in, they have to be on point. You have to work on it.
Especially in Adam's system, we had taller strikers. Yeah. There was more service into the box. Yeah. So that was something new for you. So when you played winger before, have you always been a winger?
Yeah, I've always been a winger, and then in college, my senior year in college, I was like a 10. I was playing like a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Like free, just so.
What's your favorite?
I think a 10 because you could move anywhere you want.
You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I could still play. I could play that position. Now when I'm out there in Atlanta, when I go play with that UPSL team, the coach over there, he trusts me a lot. So sometimes he lets me play free as a 10 or left wing, right wing, whatever. So.
It's crazy to think about the life of a professional footballer in this country. Obviously, like soccer is still relatively new. And it's still growing, but there's a lot of pockets of like teams that are playing all over the country, different leagues that are kind of popping up, and now you've got an opportunity. You're playing over in Atlanta, here and there. Like, what's that like?
It's it's great. It all comes down to the connection around with people that know other people and stuff like that. I was fortunate to when I was in Reno last year. I went on loan to Oakland, played for a month and a half. I met, one of the guys there that connected me to some Sunday league team in Atlanta, and then they were able to fly me out there, pay the flights to go out there and play and just, go and play, stay fit, and then, of course, who doesn't like money? Make some little money.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, getting to play a game that you love and getting paid for it isn't a terrible thing.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, I'm not in a pro contract, but I'm making, money. Like I'm a pro.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm sure it's like, so you played last year during COVID. Were you in the bubble?
Yeah, I was.
What was that like?
So it was crazy. It was so when the whole COVID happened at the beginning, I was at Reno, and we had to start. I think we had played one game, and we're gonna go play our second game, and then they call us the day before, like, hey. You guys are not going to travel, COVID, this and that. So then they send us all home, hey, we're going to stop, whatever. And when we came back, we were getting tested every time, and I was still at Reno. We're getting tested like once or twice a week. And after that, I was, that's when I was loaned out to Oakland. And then Oakland had that little tournament that they did up in Detroit. It was
it was like a NISA tournament.
It was a NISA tournament, and it was like, they had all the teams in one hotel room. Like it's just like for the teams, no one else was staying out there and stuff. And it's crazy because we didn't get tested out there. Not that I remember, we didn't get tested.
Once you got tested first, then you
just stay there, and you played your games. And
were you nervous or scared at all, at the very beginning?
Actually, we got tested once. When we got there, we got tested one time, and they had a room at the hotel where all the teams went, but one team at a time, groups. And we got tested at one time. Man, poked you way up there. Those people like they don't care. You know, I've gotten it before, but right there, no.
That was the worst one.
Yeah, like I was like, man, you don't, you don't feel it. That's why you're going all the way up. You know, but yeah, it was cool. You know, it was a cool little experience doing that. It was more like not as close as the MLS, you know, that one they had, but similar. You know, you got
you feel like it's
you know,
that is kind of cool when you think like down the road, like your grandkids one day, it's like this is a part of history, you know. And I mean, it's tragic that so much, you know, there was death and all of these things and businesses have closed down. But when we look at it maybe 10, 20, 30 years down the road, it's like you've got this kind of amazing story to tell that you were a pro athlete during this time, and soccer, you know, the USL and NISA were two of the first really leagues to kind of like push through and come back and play. Like you guys were playing at the height of like the fear of people in the country.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, you know, it's good to have, you know, something that, you know, you live through something to tell your kids, you know, when they're older, your, you know, grandkids and stuff. So definitely it's gonna be interesting, you know, see how they react to it. They're not gonna believe it. They're gonna be like, what? COVID? What is that? What
was that? Yeah. People are like the Spanish flu, like that. I don't know. It's whatever. But yeah, so Oakland, did you like playing out there?
Yeah, so
once you started going out there, it was already after COVID, so there was no fans or anything?
Yeah, there was no fans.
Because they packed the house, right? Yeah, like they sell out like every game. The thing is that
we took up, so when their season, the NISA season was like they played a couple games and then did that tournament up in Detroit. So there was no fans or no like kind of home games. You know, we went to play in LA. We played against Cal United and then LA Force, and those were like our group. It was a group of 3, and C was in the top of the table to play over there. Like, you know, they did all that stuff. So I never got to play or even go to their locker rooms at Oakland Roots. I was straight to like when they were but no. So when I got loaned out, they were for 2 to 3 weeks. They were in LA doing like training because there were some fires going up here in San Francisco area and all that. So I just went from there straight over there. Didn't even go to locker rooms. Didn't even get to step on the field, and then to Detroit. Then back after everything was over, back to Oakland to just like, you know, like say later to the guys because my loan was over the 5th. The 4th, it was the last day of the year. The 5th, when we landed, I was done.
You're done.
No more.
And so you were on a 1-year deal with Reno?
With Reno, yeah. I signed for 1 year, and then
then they
folded.
COVID killed them. Yeah.
It's
unfortunate because I've got some friends in Reno. You know, Eric, the president, and I've over the years got to, you know, work against, I guess you could say, Ian, and I mean, it seemed like they had really good operation up there. You know, I was really bummed to see that COVID kind of killed it off. I mean, they're a team that's operated, you know, in conjunction with the baseball team, kind of like the Grizzlies and the Fuego did in the past. And it just seemed like COVID just really wiped out like their ability to keep both teams up. So my hope is that market seems like a good market. And they did really well on the field in terms of wins and losses. And so I really hope, you know, we see Reno back eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they will. You know, I think they just, I don't know who they affiliated with or whatnot, but the Reno Ace, they just put a whole like brand new grass field and everything. They fixed it up nice. I still follow them and stuff. So, I mean, probably it'll be hard to get an affiliation with San Jose Earthquakes because Reno had it, because now, you know, they're probably going to fight to get Oakland Roots or whatever. Now there's a new team, Monterey, that's going to try. You know, it's all about affiliation teams right now. You've seen Las Vegas Lights. It's pretty much, it's LAFC 2.
Yeah,
they just don't,
great.
They're not going to name it LAFC 2, but that's what it is.
Right.
They're going to send all the players over there because, you know, they haven't announced one signing in Las Vegas Lights or nothing, and their season's going to start.
True.
You know,
so it's all LAFC 2 players?
It's pretty much LAFC. Boom, the players. Because they've been signing a lot of players, LAFC, like youngsters.
Danny.
Yeah. Now, I think he's going to stay with the first team. Danny.
You think so? Did you see, he posted yesterday, he scored a nice little goal.
I talk to him often, you know. It's funny because he was out there at the NISA tournament with LA Force.
Okay.
He was with LA Force, you know.
I'd love to. I don't know him very well.
He's a great guy.
I'd love to have him on the podcast sometime. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of pulling for him out here.
It's funny. He was when he was out there, whatever, we had talked about a little bit, about, where you're going to go play and stuff like that. He was telling me. And, I gave him a little advice. I told him, if you're going to sign, because I guess he had some options his junior year, and after Northridge, he had offers to some USL teams. And, I told him, if you're going to do it, make sure it's worth it, and you do it because, you're the one that, it's going to decide. Don't let other people kind of get in your head like, do it, you're never going to get this chance, whatever. I told him, if you have a chance of going to a draft or whatever, because you're in college, like, then you should consider it. But, at the end of the day, it's your decision. And he was like, man, it's, they're offering me decent money, but so he ended up, staying because he knew he had a chance to go on the draft, so he ended up staying.
He made the right choice. Yeah. I mean, clearly, and I mean, it's difficult, I think, for a lot of people as they're getting seen and thinking about playing professionally. But Danny's been followed since he was fairly young, and he's had like those indicators where people see like, all right, this guy can play. And I mean, even that goal he posted yesterday, it's like he slips a guy, he gets that nice first touch, rolls right over the ball, keeps his control, left foot right through the goalkeeper. It's like you see, all right, this guy's got it. He's got something different.
He's dedicated. I mean, he's he doesn't. I don't think he's let anything, like get in the way of, him, no girls, no party, nothing like that. I always see that he's training before he was with LAFC, training in the morning, and it looks like he takes care of his body the way he eats and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could tell, he was going to get somewhere. He was gonna get somewhere.
I mean, you think about people who have Orlando, long time ago now, long time ago. He gets drafted, by the Earthquakes. Milton signs a homegrown contract with Chivas, and there's been a few other people that have got the, Nathan Smith. Elijah Martin wasn't with the first team, but he was with the second team of LA. So it's like there's a lot of talent that's coming out of the Valley in these last few years.
It'd be nice to put it together, huh? It'd be nice to put it together here.
I'd like to think so too. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can play, and I mean, our hope is that we really find a way to get some of those guys that are local to come back and play for this club, because I think that's what our fans want a ton. Obviously, that's what we want, and I feel like you did it, you've done it.
That's what Oakland did. Did you see that this year? They signed Oakland Roots. They signed like 3-4 guys from the NISA team, and then guys that they signed like live or are from around the area. Like, so there's team. I want to say, I don't know, but there's more than like 10 guys that are from
the Bay Area.
But some have gone to play USL somewhere else and stuff. So
they've done a very good job.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super, super impressed. When we were going through, how we want to structure the marketing plan and the style and the strategy for everything. I mean, Oakland was a pretty good indicator. Even though they were in NISA, they weren't even, MLS or USL Championship. And but they did such a really good job of figuring out, like, what's the culture of their area, what is kind of like the main thing they can have and take pride in, and then just like lean in hella hard into it. And it's super ethnic, and I love it. I just love what they've done. I think it's really good, and I think they've been, in a way, an inspiration to how we want to do things. And the fact of like, what's our identity? What, in the Central Valley, it's immigrant farm workers, it's hardworking people, it's blue collar, it's brown collar, it's like living off the land, and I mean, and there's a little like middle finger in the air, rebellious style, like we're not LA, we're not the Bay Area, like we're different, and so all of those things went into like, how do we want to brand ourselves as a soccer club and a brand in the community? And I think like, man, it's the bilingual stuff that we're doing, and a lot of these other elements that we're bringing in, adding the green to the color and like doing stuff like that. We really want to lean into who we are as a community.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, definitely the logo looks, pretty nice. It looks like, Mexican kind of colors, the flag type of thing,
Yeah.
So it's nice, it's nice.
I think a lot of people can identify with it in a lot of different ways. I mean, there's that perspective. There's people that talk about the green V on the back of the Fresno State helmets, and it feels very like, all right, we're Valley, we're Fresno. The lines kind of representing the crops that you see as you drive through the Valley. And then, the flame, man. It's like there's a fire that burns deep down inside of a lot of people that live here in the valley for a lot of different things, and it's like, and it's hot here, and it's just part of us, right? So yeah, I think we've fallen in love with the logo. It was like the 50th one that we went through. It was a really, really hard process to find something that we feel good about, but we like it.
It worked out. It looks pretty good.
It worked out. So, I mean, what's next for you? I mean, obviously you're doing this stuff in Atlanta. I'm sure you're probably still trying to have some communication with teams out there. I mean, have you talked to League One teams? Like, what's your plan?
No, I got my agent that's saying he's been talking to, some, but their budget because of COVID is kind of low. With me having a wife and a kid, it's kind of different. It gets a little bit tough. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, if my family's happy, and then the club offers something good, if they would want to stay home or whatnot, then But
what's that? I mean, like, I think that's an important topic. If any young aspiring professional athletes, soccer players are listening to this podcast, me as a sports executive, I've seen it over the years when we've signed players. It is a reality that when you're working in, the USL, whether it's League One or Championship, a lot of times players are bunking up. You have 2 people per apartment or something like that. So guys that have families, that have children, have wives, the accommodations become different for those groups of people. I mean, do you think that's made an impact on your ability to sign? And, like, what would you tell other young players who have the dream of being pros, but are also thinking about starting a family?
I think it's had an impact, definitely. But I think it's more, the way, whoever represents you, all that stuff, like, how they deal with stuff, how they sell you out there, because, the clubs, if you're talking to a club, they don't, to get interest from a team, they don't need to know first, like, does he have family or not? It has to be like, oh, is he a great player and all that stuff, and then you start, talking, okay, so what does it take to have him out here, what, and then you start working, with that, like, okay, well, he has family, this and that, okay, well, we can't bring the family, we could get him an apartment with someone else, but then, if it's far, East Coast, whatever, well, then we'll pay for 2 flights for his family to come over here, there's ways around it,
Because Anthony's in the same situation. He's in Pittsburgh. His family's lucky enough to be out there with him. They're treating him really well, but it's hard to find those.
The first year was hard for him. I think
because they were separate, I believe.
Yeah, and then, like you said, you have to work your butt off, and like, then he got recognized, boom, and then he could take him over there. That happened to me in Reno. My wife moved out there with me and my son for, like, the time that I was out there because of COVID, She wasn't working. She was like, because, COVID, the school, she works at the district. She wasn't working, so she's like, well, why don't I go out there with you?
Sure.
The club was housing me, like, at the hotel first, and they were going to move us to some apartments. And so what I did, I was like, hey, how about you guys give me that money, and I'll find myself a place. So, Bill Cummings, him,
good old Bill.
He connected me to some people over there that had a big property and stuff, and they rented me their guest house and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's great.
Bill helped me out a lot.
Bill Cummings, then the Cummings family they're incredible, man.
They would always
Bill
take
Jr.
me to eat. They were like, hey, Gladys and you and Josiah, come meet us right here. Let's go have dinner every time when I was out there.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So,
it's good. They're good people, man.
Yeah. Really, really great, man. So, yeah, that's I ended up taking them over there and stuff. But, if there's, some, kids out there that, are, young kids are thinking about, like doing what I'm doing, starting a family or, and playing, like, they really got to think about it, like I said, it's not, your family doesn't hold you back, because, if I decided to start, a family, it wasn't like, so if you really want to do something, you got to go, commit to 100%. I always say with everything you commit to, I don't have a team right now, but I have hope of finding something. If I don't, I committed to what I'm doing right now, going to Atlanta and all that stuff. And, I'm making money. I'm not struggling, So.
Yeah, it's good. And I mean, there's something really cool I think about. I've seen Milton, and when I worked at the Galaxy, I got to see some of those players. Like, having your family there with you when you get to share some of those really special moments as a professional athlete, and like taking a picture with your kid on the field and your kid. I mean, that's got to be amazing.
I got to do that. I was, that's one thing right here when I was with, the Fresno, that I was like, man, my little son, chunky little boy standing right there. I got to take a picture with him in the field and my wife. So you know, I've done one thing already. Another thing I've done too. I jump and the fans right there. They got a good picture of me right there after a goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've done a couple things, you know.
So do you miss playing here?
Yeah, like it was nice, you know. The fans, you know, definitely, you know, they make you feel, you know, more at home, you know. They have your back and they're all about it. Win or lose, they're there. And of course, you know, you gotta pay it back by, you know, going, you know, and, you know, thanking them and stuff like that. But
maybe spending a little time at Tiago Sequoia across the way afterwards.
Going to Tioga so.
Well, that's awesome, man. So I mean, kind of to close it out here, like what's a bit of word of advice you'd have to people out there that want to get into this, want to become professional athletes that maybe like youth or college players right now?
I would say my main thing, and I don't know, I was talking to a while back someone that, you know, they asked me something similar to that, and I told them the best thing for you guys to do is never take no for an answer. You know, when someone tells you no or something, there's gonna be someone that's gonna tell you yeah. So, you know, if it's not there, go somewhere else, but never take no for an answer, and don't settle. You know, if someone's saying you're good, or don't let it get to your head. Keep working, because there's always someone that's getting better or that's better than you, and you just gotta try to be better than that person. So I would say, you know, work, and don't let it get to your head. So.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, hey, man, I think we all know it. We hope to see you in a Fuego uniform again someday, and man, best of luck this year, and we're looking forward to next year.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See ya.
See ya.
Not bad?
No.